Hi, this is video number 6. Smoking Camel Crush Bold Still. Today I want to talk about something a little deeper. I was thinking about it before I made this video, and I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys are gonna think it's interesting, or if anyone's even watching these still videos. I guess kind of makes me happy, but because these videos suck, but. So let's talk about the fifth dimension. Also, nothing. Okay. So the fifth dimension. What is it? Let's talk about it because I think it's actually interesting. So every night you go to bed and you dream. You leave reality. Whatever you are, who you are, where you are, does not exist for that sweet 8 hours to 10 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, however long you're sleeping, of abyss. You're in an abyss, pretty much. You're in a dream world. You're not existing pretty much anymore inside your body. I mean, your body still exists, but wherever you are is not really in your body either. You're out somewhere exploring something. You're at school, like experiencing a memory. You're you're not. Your consciousness is not in your body. It's somewhere else. Your body is still in its body, but your consciousness is somewhere else. So let's talk about what that means. Where is your consciousness? Okay. Basically, every night when you go to bed, you go from different brain waves of thinking. Your brain thinks typically during the day at beta waves, I think it is. Can't remember. And I'm not going to speak that much about it because I don't know exactly the names of it, but you can look it up, and it's a real thing that happens. Your brain has certain waves that you think at. I know that when you're studying and when you're reading, you're thinking at theta waves, and you're relaxed, you're at alpha waves, and I'm pretty sure just normal awake thinking is beta waves. So when you're sleeping, you're in alpha and delta. This is what I think it's called, I'm pretty sure. And those are the slower, longer waves of thinking. That's when you're in your relaxation sleep, when you're not really dreaming. But during sleep, you're, I think, in beta waves. And I know this is probably making me seem like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I don't know the names of it exactly, but I do know that you go through different states while you're asleep. You go through REM state and you go through the unconscious state. Now, while you're in REM state, that's when they think DMT is being released while you're sleeping. That's when the pineal gland is most active, and that's when you're dreaming. And if you're trying to lucid dream, and you're trying to do wake-induced lucid dreaming, or you're trying to wake up and then fall asleep again to catch the REM cycle, that's when you do it. You try to fall asleep and catch the REM cycle so that you can lucid dream. Because when you're fading into the REM cycle after you have woken up and fallen back asleep, like 3/4 in the way in, it makes it easier for you to just jump into lucid dreaming, and you're a lot more ready for it because you're tired and you want to fall back asleep, and you're not really just going from like beta waves, the highest wave frequency, to the lowest wave frequency, and so your body is your brain is a lot more ready for it, and it's a lot more adjusted for it. Now, I'm trying to talk about the fifth dimension, and I'm kind of ranting right now about all this stuff. But basically, the fifth dimension is when you're sleeping, and you're existing in that world where whatever you think happens, in that lucid world, where whenever you visualize or think anything, it starts happening. And the fifth dimension is basically the dimension where all things exist at all times, and it's you choosing what exists basically at all times. Like, when all things exist at all times, it's not all gonna just be a crazy chaotic explosion. That's higher dimensions, and it's higher thinking. and we're not really. I've never really gotten there, and most people haven't really gotten that high to this high of dimensions, because it's kind of really unstable, and it's really hard to function at those levels, especially as a human, especially with our closed consciousness. But the fifth dimension is basically the dimension when all things are happening, all things are possible, and all things do happen if you want them to happen. So when you as soon as you start thinking something to happen, it will happen. You can experience this in reality if you meditate a lot, and your brain is constantly producing DMT. In deep stages of meditation, DMT is released, and it can stay in your system for a while, and well, not a while, like not that long, but it stays in your system, and it brings you to higher levels of thinking, higher consciousness. And when you're at those higher stages of consciousness, you will be able to manifest more easily and be able to create the universe around you more easily and exist on those higher planes of thinking and exist closer to the fifth dimension, therefore being able to visualize and manifest things easier. Now, back to your dreams, lucid dreaming. So, if you get to lucid dreaming and you start visualizing things and start manifesting things, you're in the fifth dimension. And that's the dimension where you want to be, I kind of want to say. Like, that's the next step. That's heaven. And that's also going to be hell, unfortunately, for most of us. No. But for a lot of people who aren't, I don't know, I won't say aren't happy, because you can be unhappy but still exist on a higher frequency, but who aren't in control of their inner self, and they have battles going on within them. Those battles will start manifesting in their dreams. If you know people like this, and I know people like this who have nightmares all the time because there's something going on inside of them that they can't control, and they're manifesting, they're manifesting those things in their sleep, because in the fifth dimension those things just come out and you can't control it. And so hell, for a lot of people, will be just that. They're gonna lose control of thoughts, and they're gonna be unaware of what's happening, and they're gonna basically manifest themselves into hell, and they're gonna see themselves as evil projected onto things around them, and the world is going to reflect it. And this happens a lot, and this is actually the collective consciousness happening all the time in Earth, where we manifest these things. But heaven, or a good dream, or a good lucid dream, or the good parts of the world, I'll say, but not necessarily, but the parts where you're thinking higher and you're more in control, and you're in the fifth dimension, you'll be able to manifest infinity. You'll be able to think anything you want, and it won't be limited to human thoughts. It's not limited to human thoughts. Like, it's once you start manifesting things at first humanly, like you'll start manifesting, I don't know, if you've ever lucid dream, maybe you want to be with a girl, so you'll think of a girl. That's a human thing. Let's say you're aware of it. You're aware that you're there. You can think of anything, and the deeper your imagination, the deeper the creation will be. So you can think of like a fifth dimensional object that can think of fifth dimensional objects, and so you are manifesting this thing that manifests things that manifest things that manifest things, and now you're thinking of the fifth dimension. You're thinking in infinity, and the whole point of the fifth dimension is to kind of break our human limitations and our human wants and our human desires and our human like our human what am I trying to say? Our human creations almost. We want to have heavenly creations. We want to think of heavenly thoughts. So angels, I mean, it's human, but like an angel, what would an angel be like truly? I mean, we met some people who are very angel-like, who are angels in our lives, and their desires are human because they exist as a human, but they desire the good, and the good in the fifth dimension is much deeper than the good in the human dimension. Like, a good thing for some people might just be, flattery almost. Sometimes you can flatter someone and that's good, and for them, I guess, but it's not really good. You're not really bringing them closer to a higher dimension, but a higher angel perhaps would be like, I don't know, sacrificing himself for a higher ideal. And when you are existing in the fifth dimension, you're living closer to it, and you're acting out of it, and you're believing in it. You're believing in heaven and hell, pretty much. When you're believing in this deeper sense of human existence, conscious existence, you start doing deeper things. So you'll be more willing to help others. You'll be more willing to go out and do heavenly things. You'll be inspired and motivated to act out of your fifth dimensional existence. You'll manifest the highest good, which is heavenly, godly, I guess you can say that, but like you'll exist as how you should, and not as you do a lot of the times when you just do things for yourself or you do things for reputation. So anyway, let's go back to that. So when you do DMT or acid, or any drug for that matter, your brain, parts of it are activated that aren't actually activated normally, obviously, because you've been taking a drug, so it stimulates parts of your brain that aren't normally there. And what happens is you get in touch with a deeper part of yourself that you aren't fully aware of most of the time, because most of us don't meditate all the time. Or, I'll say this, but a lot of us don't also practice spirituality on a deeper sense. We just do it for, like, being a better person, better virtues. But if you are, let's say, for example, a Christian, and you know Jesus, let's just say, you know him from a heavenly point of view. He's in the fifth dimension. He's manifesting himself through you, and it's this big, not idea, but like, it's like a spiritual interaction and not at all a human interaction. And he exists fifth dimensionally. He can do all things at all times to these people, to us, I guess, if you are a Christian or you do believe in Jesus. But that's just fifth dimensional thinking, because in the fifth dimension, Jesus Christ fully does exist, because anything can exist at all times, and so he exists fully. But as does Krishna, as does Brahman, as do all these things that exist in the fifth dimension. And what's interesting, though, is that you can think of someone or something, an angel or something, interacting with you and changing you, because that's how the fifth dimension works. It's an interactionary process. You can imagine like an object, for example. If it's a fifth dimensional object, they can, take you different places, but that object doesn't really exist, but you manifest it, you create it, and then it becomes outside of you, interacting within you. And it's very not even complicated. It's so simple, but we don't really think about it that much, because most of us aren't thinking about the fifth dimension. We're too worried about our human things. We're too worried about what people think of us and things like that. But the whole point of this video, I guess, is for us to think about our fifth dimension and our deeper selves, and for us to try to elevate who we are and our beliefs and our desires. Because when you do that, you start elevating those around you, and you elevate your inner self, obviously. And then your dreams will improve. You'll become more lucid and more in control, and you'll manifest higher things, and you'll see higher things. And by doing that, you'll be acting on the greatest good, or you'll be acting heavenly, godly. You'll be acting spiritually, I guess. You'll be acting fifth dimensionally. You'll be acting how you should be acting, which is not just as a base human, an animal, a monkey. Because even animals have DMT flowing through them when they're sleeping. All of us are connected through it. So even they, when they act out as monkeys, are acting out in, a fifth dimensional sense, because whatever they think kind of happens. But their desires are so base and natural that they never can create things like we do. Like, even human desires are a little bit out there. And that's the whole point of this. My point is saying that you need to elevate your desires, or almost get rid of them, and try to bring yourself higher up, and by doing that you'll be flowing and channeling this infinite being within you. And a lot of this people call it God, Jesus. If you're an atheist, I guess this might seem far out, but I don't even know how you're watching this video if you're an atheist, because why would you ever watch this video? You're more interested in science, but even science is telling us these things. So I guess this is more of a rant than any information given out, but I guess I'm trying to motivate people, myself too, with these videos, and trying to tell you that these videos are to elevate us and you and me into thinking higher dimensionally. And when we do all these things that I'm trying to say, and I don't know if you can got this far, this is a lot for me, but you'll create crappy videos like this, and you'll just want to do things that are kind of weird, but you'll do it anyway because it feels higher to you. Like you'll go out and help people randomly because that's who you would become, because that's how the fifth dimension works. Because if you don't do love, if you don't act out of love and the fifth dimensional feeling of happiness, which would affect everyone, because whatever you do affects everyone, because you know, we're all connected, we're all one. It doesn't matter what you think, even atheists, we're all from the same source, the one, you know, whatever, singularity. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you understand that your actions affect everyone, and that's obvious, I think, but I don't know what I'm saying. I'm going to end this right now in like a minute, if you're even here, but like, thing is, we, as people, don't think, or don't feel, or don't even recognize a lot of the time the deeper part of ourselves, and the deeper part of what it means to be a consciousness. And when you start practicing your religion or your spirituality, you'll get there, and you'll see and you'll know that there is a higher dimension of humanity, of spirituality, of consciousness that exists, and the more connected you are with it, the better your life will be, and the better the life of those around you will be, because that's how things work. Because the better you are, your soul is, and your soul is a reflection. Your soul will reflect itself in the entire universe. It will just be a fractal, and that's what you are. And it'll just fractal out into happiness, into goodness, and godliness, and holiness, and spirituality, and all these things. You know, the flow. Even if you're an atheist, like, there still is a rhythm to nature. You'll be more connected to that, and you'll be acting out of a higher version of that, because humans are in nature, but they're like, the potentiality of them is so high, it's infinite, that they limit themselves by what they know, but not what they believe. So, I love you guys. I hope you get deeper into yourselves and deeper into God, we'll call it, or the universe, or whatever you are, or whatever you want to call it. But you have to believe in this stuff, and you have to feel it, and you have to act it out, because the more you do, the goodness will spread, and your life will change. Okay, peace and love.